Now around 2 weeks ago, I covered something that most people never believed was real. A version of Super Mario Galaxy for the Nintendo DS. And today we will again look at a game that seems impossible on a handheld console, however there is footage of it online. Thanks to this, rumors started to spread and more people believed this game was real and out there in the wide world. But in the end it disappeared and no one ever heard of it again. So was any of it real? Where did this version of Twilight Princess even come from? And can you actually find it online? Well, today we will answer all those questions and more as we uncover the secrets of the 3DS version of The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Long ago, during an era that some of you might have never witnessed, Nintendo was working on their next Zelda masterpiece. Their previous project, known as The Wind Waker, got mixed reviews thanks to the cartoon style and childlike theme. Sure, it was still amazing in almost every way imaginable, but people expected something completely different thanks to the GameCube tech demo from Space World 2000 that they released a couple of years before that. In the end, most Zelda fans expected a more mature Zelda title that was similar to what we experienced in Ocarina of Time. But things didn't happen. And so Nintendo became a little bit worried. Their last console and Zelda title got a lot of hate. And thanks to this, they decided to go in a completely different direction. Something darker, more mature, and serious, like the people wanted all along. And in the end, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess was born. This was the 13th installment of the Legend of Zelda series released for the Nintendo GameCube and Wii. And they most likely also released it for both titles in order to satisfy those Zelda fans that weren't completely happy with The Wind Waker. And yeah, obviously you can sell more games because you're selling to 2 different consoles. It was the first and so far only Zelda game to be rated T by the ESRB, and the first to be rated 12+ by PEGI, with rating descriptors including animated blood and fantasy violence. People loved this new Zelda title that was significantly more dark than anything that came before. Well, except Majora's Mask maybe, because that game was also depressing as hell. It sold incredibly well, and was actually the best-selling Zelda title until Breath of the Wild finally hit the scene. And later on, during a Nintendo Direct on November 12, 2015, a remaster of the game for the Wii U called Twilight Princess HD was announced, and was later released in March 2016. Thanks to this, it became even more popular. And then it finally happened. Some interesting videos were posted online that people went crazy over. A version of Twilight Princess for the 3DS. And since the Wii U version was just announced, it seemed even more likely to be real. And so the hype began. The videos and pictures of it playing on the 3DS were spreading across the internet fast, and so more people stepped aboard the hype train. But for a long time, nothing happened. No news from Nintendo and no new information from any of the leakers online. And so people were getting worried. And after some time, they found out that all the footage was actually fake. But that's not all. Surprisingly enough, this whole rumor wasn't new because there was also a video out there of a version on the normal DS. So, what really happened here? Well, it all started back in 2005 when Twilight Princess wasn't even released yet. During that year at E3, Nintendo gave away a cartridge called the Zelda Preview Trailer, with the logo of Twilight Princess on it. A total of 500 attendees were lucky enough to be chosen to receive it, and it was only made for promotional purposes. It features a video of Twilight Princess that was coming to the GameCube and Wii. However, it is highly compressed, so it looks like garbage. And there's an alternative version that looks even worse. But this thing is incredibly special and quite exclusive. You couldn't buy it anywhere, and they are rarely seen on websites like eBay. It was only given during a special event in 2005 after all. And so this was the only way that you could obtain it. But sadly enough, it's not a game or a demo of any sort, just a super cool video loop of the upcoming Zelda title. Still neat, but nothing major. And not only did you receive the cartridge, but it also came in a unique Zelda sleeve, as well as its own protective case, which you can see right here. And on the back, it says this: when an evil shadow stretches from the heart of Hyrule to its peaceful borderlands, a young farm boy named Link must awaken the hero within and stand tall in defense of his village. Lead Link and his beloved steed into battle against hordes of foul creatures with an incredible horseback combat system, and then take on massive bosses that have to be seen to be believed. The last ray of hope for a dying realm, Link finds himself in an epic journey that will challenge him endlessly and transform him in ways unimaginable. Personally, I like this, especially the last part where they hint at Link turning into a wolf. Aside from that, you can see that the sleeve is covered with art, and some of it was never seen anywhere else. For example, you can see this on the front, because personally, I have never ever seen that art before, and the wolf looks very different from the final one we saw. And some of the things seen in the trailer on this cartridge weren't seen in the actual game, because they were cut or changed. For example, certain parts of the world, like the Forest Temple, which is a lot more open and consists of many smaller trees by the looks of it. Or the Sacred Grove, which is significantly bigger and emptier than the final one we saw in the game itself. Aside from that, some smaller details are also different. Like Link's wolf transformation looks very primitive compared to what we saw in the end. And we can even see certain features that were completely cut from the game, like the canoe that's seen in Ordon Village. I recently covered this in a video where I talk about certain things that didn't make it into the final version of the game. A link to that video can be found in the upper right corner if you're interested. Now, one of the versions of this cartridge also features an option to see the E3 guidebook. It seemingly doesn't do anything, but perhaps it did something on the show floor. Now, sadly enough, there was never a version of Twilight Princess for the DS or 3DS. Both of these were just a hoax. You can put that promotional cartridge in both after all, and so people were fooled by it twice, after enough time had passed. They are very rare after all, and videos of them are incredibly uncommon. And so either people didn't know about it, or had forgotten about it, making them easy targets for this hoax. And of course, later on, people also tried to make the footage more believable by using pre-recorded footage, and even creating a custom lower screen where you can see your hearts, and even some sort of minimap. You can see that in this video. And aside from the frame rate being terrible, it looks incredibly realistic. And yes, I know what you're thinking. What is it worth? It must be one of the collecting holy grails after all. Well, yes. A complete set, so that's with the sleeve, cartridge, and everything else, is worth over $2,200. Which is logical because over the last 17 years, only 7 have been sold, and it could even be that those are the only ones left. At the end of the day, there was just a trailer on it and not a game or anything exclusive, so I bet a lot of people threw them away or just lost them. So this is where our story ends. Sadly enough, there isn't a handheld version of Twilight Princess, and Nintendo was never working on this. And no, I can't find any fan-made versions either, which was the case with Super Mario Galaxy DS, but not this title. But regardless of that, it's still really cool that they gave away these cartridges at E3 back in the day. And there's one thing we certainly learned today. If you get something limited edition from a big gaming company like Nintendo, take good care of it, because one day it could be worth over $2,200! Capitalism, baby! Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you want more videos like this. I got actually like a couple more weird hoaxes and like fake trailers and all kinds of other stuff I could cover. There's actually a lot on this. I could do a whole series if I wanted. There's a lot. So if you want more, let me know and then I'll make more.